play the game. Time to play the game!
Fatality.
The future does not belong to globalists. The future belongs to patriots. Wise leaders always put the good of their own people and their own country first.
Defend themselves in some cases if they're losing territory.
Hey, it's me, and welcome to Trump Mafia. You know, YouTube really suppresses this channel, so posting stuff here, it's like farting in a hurricane or pissing during a tsunami. You wonder why you do it, right? But I'm talking to you, and I have this enigma, this puzzle about President Trump. You know, I believe in the Trump rule, never underestimate Donald Trump, so that's exactly what I'm doing right now. But I do wonder if he is secretly neoconish. Yeah, it's a new word, neocon policies. Or if he is being sabotaged by neocons and he's going along with it for the most part, because he wants to get other things done via the Senate and various departments, so you don't want to piss everybody off. He's really focusing on the economy for the most part and deporting illegals. And the reason I say that is, for example, with the Ukraine situation, the strike deep inside of Russia, there's no way that would have been done without the go-ahead by the U.S. government. But you know, the CIA, DOD, they often don't care about what a president wants, and they do it. And then the president, trying to keep authority and control, or at least the image of it, would then pretend that he ordered this thing the whole time, right? Like he was involved. A good example is Choco Mbogo, known to you as Barack Hussein Obama. He was not involved in the Bin Laden raid. In fact, he didn't want to do it. He was dithering for like a month, but finally Leon Panetta and other people, they just went ahead with it, and they did it, and Choco was on the golf course. He didn't even know it was going on, so they had to pull him off the golf course. And as you saw from the picture, everybody was already sitting there. Hillary, Joe Biden in the prime seats, right? Even the general was at the head of the table with a laptop. None of them even got up and said, "Hey, Commander-in-Chief, why don't you sit at the table?" He was thrown up against the wall like he was a nobody, because he was a nobody. He was still wearing his golf clothes. They put a bomber jacket over him, but he was still wearing that white polo shirt that he uses for golf, right? So the next day, they allowed him to spike the football. And so Choco came out, I did this, I did that. And he did not. So because of the ego, right, Choco and Bogo has to come out and spike the football. And so these deep state people, they do what they want. And then the president has a choice. Either look like a puppet that is left out of the loop with no authority, no gravitas, or you pretend you were involved the whole time, which is what Choco did. But President Trump is a different person. And so he could be the good cop and then using those neocons, letting them do their worst as being the bad cop, so that he can come out and get what he wants, which is peace, using the worst impulses of these neocons. So using them, while the neocons obviously believe like they're sabotaging President Trump, but in fact he knows they're going to do it, so actually he's using them, because I cannot see a scenario where President Trump is like being sabotaged and he would just go, oh, okay, so now I better pretend I was in charge the whole time. He's not that kind of a person. He's not Choco and Bogo. He is much smarter and he's more of a leader, right? So I believe, because I invented the Trump rule for this, never underestimate Donald Trump. You have to come out and never underestimate the guy. So if you look at his stance on Israel, it's pretty hardcore, which means that it could be neoconish. Now, most neocons that support Israel to the hilt are also very pro-Ukraine, very anti-Russia, very anti-China. President Trump is very pro-Israel. So does that mean he's very pro-Ukraine? And there is the riddle, the enigma. Is he really? Maybe. Maybe not. And that is really up to you, your opinion. I'm interested in your opinion, because I prefer to go by the Trump rule, not to underestimate President Trump. So using the Trump rule, I will say I don't know, but I certainly will not underestimate him. But it's true that these neocons are sabotaging him. I'm just saying that President Trump knows that they would, that they will, that they did, and he's using them. Sometimes you just let people do what they do and they fall into their own trap. If you're in charge of a group of people and somebody's going to slack off, somebody's going to do this, somebody's going to do that, if the givens, a leader will use what people will do naturally as an asset, even if what they're going to do is going to be a bad thing. Somehow you can utilize that. Whereas a boss, somebody who's given a title and put in charge, he's like, you do this, you do that, and if they don't listen, you get angry, and then you have to punish people because you're not a leader. You don't know how to manage people, and you expect people to kind of become little slaves or minions. And President Trump, he knows that he's hurting a bunch of wildcats and rats. And how do you do it? Well, in many cases, you let people be who they are, right? Even if that's really bad, and you can use it in some way. And that's a skill that he has honed for decades. In real estate, you have the same. People will always try to backstab you, do their own thing, betray you. And he's done that also with some of the people that worked for him, people that were part of the prior administration. Sloppy Steve Bourbon Bannon, he's being utilized in the same way he always has been. But he doesn't even know that he's utilized like a little bitch. But he is. Lindsey Graham, he also probably thinks he's much more intelligent than President Trump, and I'm going to do this, and I'm going to talk to this guy. But of course, President Trump knows exactly how Lindsey Graham is going to act. He's so predictable. And the left, they're so predictable in their anti-Trump TDS behavior that you can easily use that. And so I ask you, right, do you think President Trump is like a neocon, a secret neocon, that he's actually very hardcore, very pro-Ukraine, very pro-Israel, but that he wants to be in charge and do it his way, that he actually wants a ceasefire to help Ukraine recover a little bit, because Russia's really dominating and the Ukraine armed forces are about to collapse? Or is he more of a peace dove, more of an anti-war peace president who just doesn't want to see people getting killed, and he's just trying to do the best he can with all these crazy neocons and people like Zelensky and the Eurofascists wanting to prolong the war? So what is your opinion? What is President Trump's real behavior? Is it neoconish, or is it typical conservative America first, or is it pretty much like a peacenik, like a hippie, right? Give peace a chance, and I'll let you decide.